Hey everybody, this is Bailey, and I've been working on my game engine a lot, so I just wanted to show what I've been working on. So you can see here, I have a JavaScript file, and I have some JSON files as well, and these files are packaged with the engine. So this file here, launch.json, has a bunch of data, so it has the width and height of the window, the full screenness, like if you set this to true, it'll make a full screen window, and if it's false, it will be this resolution. Name and main script. So this JSON is actually interpreted by the engine at launch, and it basically just tells it how to launch the game. And you'll notice that the main script is pointing to main.js, and we have that file right here. So if we go to the game itself right now and we run it, you'll see that there is just a quad. OBS has some trouble showing what is on the screen, and it's really choppy too, but you'll see that we don't have anything in the scene except a player that can be controlled, a plane representing the ground, and a light source. So if I go back to this editor here, I can actually put entities into my world through this script at runtime. So I'm just going to create a panel, and in it I'm going to say panel equals entity manager.generate panel and data, and then we're going to say entity manager.add entity panel and now we need to set data, so we're going to say var data equals a new JSON object, and this JSON object is going to have a position which is set to x colon 0, y colon 0, and z colon 0. So what this is doing is it is actually integrating with the actual classes in the engine through JavaScript. So I have a scripting engine class which basically takes the engine classes that I've created. So over here we have entity manager, and you can see this method here called register for scripting, which takes in a script engine as its input parameter, and basically within that engine it maps this class to an instance of this class. That basically allows us to use any properties of this class from JavaScript. So you can see I have this main script here, and if I go back to the engine and I launch it again, you'll see that this time there is a new entity in the world right here. And we can modify this entity in JavaScript. We added it through JavaScript, so we should be able to modify it. So for instance, I'm just going to move it up in the world 1, and I'm going to move it back in the world 2. And there are some more properties to this panel entity which I know about called width and height. So I'm just going to add those in. Width is going to be equal to 7, and height is going to be equal to 7 as well. So now with these changes, if we run the game, you can see that a new panel entity will have been created, not there, but in front of us, and this panel entity has 7 blocks across and 7 blocks across. Now, there would be no way for the average user to know that those properties exist. That is something I'm working on and will be integrating next. I'm going to have some sort of IntelliSense that prompts you to add data types like this so that the entity manager will sort of know that a panel has a position, a width, and a height, and it will prompt you to input them. But we aren't done yet. There's one more thing we're going to do. So this variable here is an instance of the entity class that I have defined here. And since it's an instance of it, we should be able to use any methods within this class in JavaScript. It is linked after all. So I'm going to use this rotate method that I have here. So theoretically, I should be able to come into tick, which is called 60 times a second, and I should be able to say panel.rotate, and I should be able to just pass it whatever the correct input arguments are. So this is taking 3 floats for a rotation x, y, and z. So I'm going to just test that out and see that it actually shows them working. So here is rotate 0 0.1, 0 0.1, 0 0.1. So now if we launch the game, we should see that that panel entity we created is rotating in all dimensions. And you can see it is. So that's just a little demonstration of me linking my entities to JavaScript and being able to modify them through JavaScript. The actual game launches at about 60 frames a second when I'm not recording, but since I am, it's a little slower. So yeah, I'm going to be adding a better collider. That's what I'm going to be working on next, is collision detection. I have a basic mesh collider, but it's not very efficient, and I'm going to be working on that. I'm also going to be working on a component-based architecture that you can integrate with through JavaScript. So you'll be able to create a new generic entity, tell it that you want it to have a collider, tell it that you want it to be affected by gravity or controller input, or have a camera linked to it, or emit light. So there are going to be a bunch of components that you can add. And I will be back with a new video once I have implemented that. Thanks so much.